Most people who try to budget digitally give up within 3 months. Not because they lack discipline, but because swiping a card feels like nothing. Cash stuffing fixes that by making every dollar physical and visible before you spend it. Here's how it works at its most basic level. You take your paycheck, divide it into labeled envelopes, one for groceries, one for bills, one for savings, and you only spend what is inside each envelope. When the grocery envelope is empty, grocery spending stops. No app notification needed, no willpower required. The limit is built into the system itself. That one shift from digital numbers to paper bills you can hold is why so many people find this method works when nothing else did. But knowing the concept and actually building your first envelope system are two different things. Coming up, we are going to walk through a real paycheck, show you exactly how to split it, and cover the one mistake beginners almost always make with their bill envelope that quietly derails the whole budget. Cash stuffing is a budgeting method where you divide your physical cash into labeled envelopes, one for each spending category in your life. When an envelope is empty, that money is gone, and that is the whole system. Here is how it works in practice. You take your paycheck, convert it to cash, and sort it into envelopes labeled things like groceries, gas, dining out, and savings. Each envelope gets a fixed amount based on what you plan to spend. For the rest of the month, you only spend from the correct envelope. If your groceries envelope holds $200, you bring it to the store, you pay with what is inside, and you watch the balance shrink in real time. That physical act of handing over bills does something a tap of your debit card simply cannot. Your brain registers the loss differently when money is tangible. The friction is the feature, not the flaw. It slows you down just enough to make spending feel like a real decision instead of an automatic one. That is why people who have struggled with budgeting apps for years often find that cash stuffing finally clicks. The method does not require a spreadsheet, a subscription, or any financial background at all. It just requires cash, envelopes, and a few minutes with your next paycheck. So why does physically handling cash actually change how you spend? The answer comes down to something behavioral economists call the pain of paying. When you tap a card or click to confirm an order, spending feels abstract. Your brain barely registers it as a loss. But when you pull bills out of an envelope labeled groceries, count them out, and hand them over, something different happens. You feel it. That physical exchange activates loss aversion, a well-documented tendency where losing something feels roughly twice as powerful as gaining the equivalent amount feels good. With cash stuffing, every dollar you spend is a dollar you can see disappearing. That visibility creates a natural psychological brake on impulse purchases. Not because you told yourself no, but because your brain is wired to resist that feeling of loss. There is also something called mental accounting at work here. When money sits in one big bank account, it all feels like one interchangeable pool. But once you divide it into labeled envelopes, your brain treats each one as a separate budget with its own boundary. The grocery envelope is not the same as the dining out envelope, even if the dollar amounts are identical. Those physical categories make abstract limits feel real and concrete. That combination, loss aversion plus mental accounting, is exactly why so many people find cash stuffing easier to stick with than any app they have tried. So now that you know why cash stuffing works, let's actually do it. Here's the first half of your setup, and you can start this today. Step 1. Grab your last paycheck stub or pull up your bank deposit history. You need one real number, your actual take-home pay for one pay period. Write it at the top of a blank sheet of paper. Step 2. List your fixed expenses. These are the bills that hit every month at the same amount, things like rent, car insurance, and your phone plan. Add those up and subtract them from your take-home total. What remains is your flexible spending money, and that is what goes into envelopes. Step 3. Choose your first 3 envelope categories. For most beginners, groceries, gas, and personal spending are the right starting point. Keep it simple. 3 envelopes is enough to feel the difference without overwhelming yourself. Step 4. Assign a dollar amount to each envelope. Look at what you actually spent in those categories last month, not what you plan to spend. Use that real number as your starting guide, then adjust it to fit what is left after your fixed bills. You now have a spending plan on paper. In the next part, we turn that plan into labeled envelopes with real cash inside. Now that your envelopes are labeled and your paycheck is in hand, here's the one rule that determines whether this system actually works for you. When an envelope is empty, you stop spending in that category. That is it. No borrowing from groceries to cover dining out. No telling yourself you will replace it next week. The envelope being empty is the system doing its job. This is what separates cash stuffing from a budgeting app. An app will let you overspend and then just show you a red number. An empty envelope stops you physically. That friction is the whole point. Once you have practiced this for a couple of pay periods, you will start to notice something useful. You will see which envelopes run out too fast and which ones still have money left over on payday. That leftover cash is worth paying attention to. Many people using this method roll unspent money into a small buffer envelope, which acts like a beginner version of what budgeters call a zero-based budget, where every dollar gets a job before you spend it. You do not need to learn zero-based budgeting right now. Just know that cash stuffing is a natural starting point for it. And the habits you're building here make the next step much easier when you're ready. Meet Priya and Deshawn. Same job, same take-home pay. $2,400 a month. Both set aside $300 for groceries, $200 for dining out, and $150 for personal spending. Priya uses a budgeting app. The numbers are all there on screen, organized and color-coded. But when she taps her card at the coffee shop or grabs something extra at the store, there is no friction. The money moves invisibly. By week 3, she has quietly gone $40 over on dining and $60 over on personal spending. Not from bad intentions, just from not feeling the limit. Deshawn uses envelopes. When his dining envelope hits 0, it is empty. He can see it, hold it, feel it. So on day 18, when the envelope runs thin, he makes dinner at home instead of ordering out. He ends the month within $2 of his plan. Same income, same written budget. The difference was not discipline. It was the physical signal that stopped the invisible drift. This is the core idea behind cash stuffing, turning an invisible number into something you can actually touch. And that small change in how money feels can make a much bigger change in how it moves. Even with envelopes labeled and cash sorted, a few habits can quietly drain the whole system. The first is raiding envelopes early. You hit Wednesday and the grocery envelope looks thin, so you borrow $20 from the entertainment fund, just this once. But once becomes twice, and soon the categories mean nothing. The fix is simple. Treat each envelope like a locked account. If groceries run out, you cook from what you have. The second mistake is skipping irregular expenses. You budget for rent and food, but forget that your car registration, annual subscriptions, and holiday spending exist. Then those costs land and you scramble. Before you stuff a single envelope, list every expense that hits less than monthly. Divide the total by your pay periods and give that amount its own envelope from day one. The third is keeping too much cash at home. Some people go all in and pull their entire paycheck in bills, then lose track of it or feel anxious about security. A smarter move is to only stuff the envelopes tied to cash spending, groceries, dining, and fun money, while keeping fixed bills like rent on autopay. That hybrid approach protects the psychological edge of cash stuffing without creating unnecessary risk. Spot any of these in your own setup and you now know exactly where to tighten things up. Now, one question that comes up a lot is whether cash stuffing actually works if money is already tight. The honest answer is yes, but it looks a little different. When your income is limited, the envelopes do not create more money. What they do is show you exactly where every dollar is going, which is often more valuable than any app can offer. Seeing an almost empty grocery envelope halfway through the month forces a real decision in a way that a low balance notification simply does not. The practical adjustment for a tight budget is fewer envelopes. Start with just 3, one for fixed bills, one for groceries, and one small buffer for unexpected costs. That is enough structure to feel the difference without overwhelming yourself. Here's the one genuine downside worth naming. Cash stuffing requires a trip to the bank or ATM each pay period, and if your schedule is unpredictable, that step can become a barrier. Some people solve this by withdrawing cash on payday before they do anything else, treating it like a non-negotiable first stop. The system is not magic, and it will not stretch a paycheck beyond its limits. What it does reliably is reduce the quiet, invisible overspending that happens when money feels abstract. Even on a lean budget, that reduction tends to matter. So that is cash stuffing in a nutshell. You take your paycheck, divide it into labeled envelopes, and let the physical act of spending do the work that willpower alone usually cannot. On this channel, we have covered zero-based budgeting, the 50-30-20 rule, and a handful of app-based systems. Cash stuffing sits in a different category from all of them, because it removes the screen between you and your money. That tactile friction is not a bug, it is the entire point. Your action for this week is simple. Pick one spending category where you consistently go over budget, groceries, dining out, or fun money, and fund it with cash only. Just one envelope, just 1 week. Notice how it feels when the envelope runs low. Coming up in this series, we are going to look at how to combine cash stuffing with a sinking fund strategy for bigger irregular expenses, and how to handle subscriptions and bills that have to be paid digitally. There is a practical middle ground, and we will map it out together. If any of this is clicking for you, subscribing keeps these videos in your feed as they drop. The next one builds directly on what you learned here, so it is worth having it ready when you are.